How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Tzadi, Daf 90 of Masechta Gittin. Friends, today is an exciting day. You can tell me why today is an exciting day. Today is an exciting day because we're finishing Masechta Gittin. Big stuff. Another yeshivas from Masechta bagged, if that's a term that could be used. How many yeshivas from Masechtas have we learned so far? Ksubis, maybe Yivomis, Gittin. Not bad. Alright. Well, I mean, regardless if it's Yeshiva Shana, we're finishing Masechta Gittin today. It's pretty exciting stuff. Alright. Well, let's finish Masechta Gittin. We're going to start in Daf Tzadi with Aleph at the Mishnah. At the top of the Daf. Beishamai says, Beishamai lo yigarish odom es ishto elim kein motzu ba'ervas erva. A fellow can only divorce his wife. Wait, do I need to fix that? No, that's good. A fellow can only divorce his wife if he finds erva. I don't know, maybe she had a forbidden relationship. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, ki motzuba ervas dover, that it says that that they're getting divorced because he found some kind of an erva. Besil, say besil, afilu k'dichat havshilo, even if she burnt his food, that's grounds for divorce. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, ki motzuba ervas dover, as it says. Ervas, right, an erva, or a dover, or some other thing. Rabbi Kiva says, Rabbi Kiva, afilu matzo acheres no imeno. Rabbi Kiva says, even if he found a woman who he finds more attractive than his current wife, they can get divorced. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'hoya im lo simtzo chen be'einav. If she doesn't find favor in his eyes, so then they can get divorce. Tanya, we learn in a brayso. Amar Beisil Beishamai. Beisil says to Beishamai, if I look for him a dover. Beishamai, you said that they can only get divorced if it's because of an erva. But what about the fact that it says dover? Dover is just anything. So Amru Loim Beishamai. So Beishamai says to Beisil, V'alo kvar nemer ervas. But what do you do with the word ervas? That there's an erva. So Amru Loim Beisil. So Beisil says to Beis Shammai, Im nemar ervas v'lo nemar dover. Look, if it would only say ervas, and it didn't say the word dover, so I would say, okay, look, if it only said ervas, so I would say, fine, she can go free. She can get divorced, right? They can get divorced if there was a rayas, but not because of any other reason. If it only said ervas. But that's why the pasuk says dover, to say that it's not just arayis, but even if she burns his food. And if it says dover v'lo nemer ervas, and it didn't say ervas, if it only said dover, some matter, something, I would say, okay, mishum dover tinosi la'acher, right? Because of dover, look, if all she did was burn his food, so then it says, right, v'chosel seven decreases v'nosam biyadav v'shilchem v'yotzav v'aysa. Then she can get married to somebody else, right? If it only say dover, I would say only in the case where there's some, reason, like she burnt his food, so then she can get remarried to somebody else. But umishum erva, but if they got divorced because of erva, well then lo tinosi, then she cannot get remarried. Therefore it says ervas dover, to say that whether the divorce is because of arayis, whether the divorce is because she burnt his food, she can get remarried to somebody else. So Beis Shammai, hi dover my avdile. What does Beis Shammai do with dover? Right, they seem to be putting all their eggs in the ervas basket. What about the fact that it says dover? So nemer kan dover, well, they say it says over here by divorce dover, right? Kimotz ervas dover, v'nemer lahalan dover, and it says oichet al pishnayim edim or al pishlosha edim yokum dover. It says also dover by witnesses. Malalim b'shnei edim. So just like when it says dover by witnesses, you need two witnesses. Avkan b'shnei edim. So here also, if you're getting right, in order to for erva to be grounds for divorce, there has to be two witnesses to testify that there was in fact arayis. Whereas Beis Hillel says, no, that's not what you learned from dover. Miksiv erva bidover. It doesn't say erva bidover. That right. If it said erva bidover, so then it would mean that in order to get divorced for arayis, it has to be bidover. It has to be with what we learn out from the Gzer Shava of dover, which is two witnesses. But it doesn't say bidavar, it says ervas davar. Beis Shammai miksiv o erva o davar, but Beis Shammai responds to Beis Hillel that says, yeah, but it doesn't say o erva or o davar. The pasuk doesn't say either erva or davar. Beis Hillel lachi ksiv ervas davar demashmachi umashmachi. Whereas Beis Hillel says, look, if it was only to teach o erva o davar, so it would say o ervas o davar. If it was only to teach erva bidavar, then it would say erva bidavar. But it doesn't say either one of those. Right? It doesn't say either or, and it doesn't say that you need two witnesses. It says ervas davar, which is nishtahin nishtaher. It's neither one to say that it's not, that the pasuk isn't exclusively teaching one or the other. It's teaching both. All right. That Beis Hillel says that. I hope I didn't just say Beis Shammai. We're talking about Beis Hillel. That Beis Hillel says that it could be either erva or davar, and also the erva would have to be with two witnesses. Rabbi Akiva Omer afilu matzah acheres. So Bekiva says, even if he found somebody who he finds more attractive, they can get divorced. B'mai komiflige. What's the machlokas between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai on the one hand and Rabbi Akiva on the other? The Rish Lakish. They're arguing about Rish Lakish. Dam Rish Lakish says Rish Lakish ki mishamish b'dal l'shonis. That ki, the word ki, right? Ki matzaba ervas davar. So the word ki could be understood in four different ways. If. Dilma, perhaps. Ella, rather. Deha, because. Beis Shammai saver, Beis Shammai, and also Beis Hillel hold. V'haya im lo simtzachein be'enav, and it will be if she doesn't find favor in her eyes. Ki matzaba if she doesn't find favor in his eyes. Ki matz. Is my brain not working? I don't know. I can't tell if my brain is working or not because I can't listen. You guys are listening. Is my brain working? It might not be. I don't know. Anyways, it will be if she doesn't find favor in his eyes. Because on account of the fact, right, meaning it's an explanation of what does it mean that she hasn't found favor in his eyes. That Beis Shammai says because there was a rayos, or Beis Hillel says because there was a rayos, or there was, she burnt his food. Rabbi Akiva saver ki matzuba ervas davar inami. Whereas Rabbi Akiva understands ki as alternatively he found ervas davar. Kilu, it could be that he simply found somebody who he finds more attractive, or inami, alternatively he found a rayos, she burnt his food, those as well. What if a fellow divorces his wife and she didn't burn his food? She didn't have any forbidden relationships. So according to Beis Hillel, who says that it would have to be either because of erva or because of davar, in this case there was neither one, and they got divorced anyway. So now what? Is it a valid divorce? Do they have to get remarried? So on my lay, so Rava says, look, midigali rachmana gabi onis. If a fellow is ma'anis basula, so then he has to remain married to her, right? He can't just be ma'anis basula and then just say goodbye and good luck. If he does that, he's responsible to take care of her now if she wants. So it says lo yuchal l'shalcho kol yomav, and he can't remove himself from her. He can't divorce her ever, right? If a fellow's ma'anis basula, so now he has to take care of her, they get married, and he cannot, from his own volition, divorce her ever. And if ever he divorces her, he has to take her back. He simply cannot divorce her. So Dafka, in the case of onus, so then if he divorces her, there's no such thing as divorce, and he would have to take her back. But over here, by if he divorced her and it wasn't because of ervas and it wasn't because of davar, okay, so Beis Hillel would say it's not allowed, but okay, if they got divorced, they don't have to remain. He doesn't have to take her back. Amalei of Mishashi the Rava says of Mishashi to Rava, Im libo legarsha v'yosheves tachtov mishamash toma. What if a fellow he doesn't want to remain married to his wife. He doesn't want to remain married to his wife, but he keeps her there. And technically speaking, they're still married. And she's, they're still married. I mean, he wants to divorce her, but he hasn't. They're still married, and she's kind of taking care of him. She's still cooking his dinner. And, Kari alei. So Rava says there's a pasuk, Al tachrosh al reacha ra'a. Don't be thinking evil against your friend. V'yoshiv lavet achitoch. And he's with you, clueless, right? don't have a situation where a fellow is checked out of the marriage. He wants to divorce her, but he's just leaving her around, and she's oblivious, or she doesn't know that he's planning to divorce her, and she's still taking care of him, and don't do that. Tanya, we learn in the Brayso. So Reb Meir says, "Kishem she'adeus b'meichel kach deus b'noshim." Just like people have different tolerance levels when it comes to what food they're willing to eat in terms of if it's disgusting or not. We'll see what we mean in a second by that. People also have different tolerance levels in terms of what if their wife is doing certain things, are they willing to stay married or get divorced? So you can have a fellow who, if he has a cup, I guess, of wine or something, so if a fly falls into it, that's it, he's done. Throws out the wine, throws out the fly, throws out everything, he's done. He can't tolerate anything that he's uncomfortable with. And that's like Papis ben Yehuda, that when he would leave the house, he would lock his wife inside. He can't have his wife interacting with anybody else. That's not an option. Okay, he's not tolerant at all. Rashi says that that's not a good approach. There's another person who's a little bit more tolerant. A fly falls into his wine. Okay, so he throws away he's not going to drink the wine with the fly. That's that's definitely disgusting. But he takes the wine, throws it away, and he drinks the wine. That's kind of a middle ground. And this is kind of the way to go. Shemidaberes im achia v'krovea umanicha. Right, a husband lets his wife talk to her brothers, her relatives. He's a permissive guy, and that's just the right level of permissiveness. He's not like Papis ben Yehuda who locks her in the house all the time when he goes out. He lets her speak to her family. But then there's a third level. A fellow, a bug, a fly falls into his food. He doesn't care. He eats it. He eats the food. He eats the fly. It makes no difference to him. This is the measure of a bad fellow. He sees that his wife is going out, Virosha Parua, with her hair uncovered, Vitova Bashuk, and she's spinning threads and stuff in the market, Ufruma Mishnitz Todea, and she's exposing her flesh on the sides of her body, Vrochatzos in Bnei Odom, and she bathes with the men. In Bnei Odom, what do you mean she bathes with the men? In Bnei Odom Salkadaitech. Who can imagine that she'd be bathing with the men? No, she bathes on her own, but in a place in view of where the men are also bathing. Zo mitzvah minator legarshin. In this last case, he needs to divorce his wife. He can't have his wife doing these things. Shinema, as the apostle says, kimotzu be'ervas bechule v'gomer, right? That he has to divorce his wife if you find her doing ervas davar, if you find her doing these things. And it says that, if she's doing these things, that there's ervas davar, so he divorces her, he sends her out of his house, and she goes to it, and she then gets married to an ish acher. Hakosav kro acher. The apostle calls her second husband acher, a different person. This person is nothing like the first husband. The first husband removed something, removed evil from his house. And the second fellow who's marrying this woman who was divorced because of erva, the second fellow who marries this woman, he's bringing evil into his house. Now, if the second husband is meritorious, so then shilcha, he will merit to divorce this wife eventually. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, usnea isha achron, and the second husband will also hate her. Ve'im lav, but in worst case scenario, kovarto, he's going to die on account of her, the second husband. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, o kiyamus isha achron, or if the second husband dies, kidayu b'misa, death is befitting him. Removed So that the first husband removed evil from his house, whereas the second husband brought evil into his house. Kisanei shalach, that something evil send away. Rabbi Yehuda Omer says, Rabbi Yehuda im saneisa shalach. Look, if you despise, if you hate your wife, divorce her. Rabbi Yochanan Omer sonu ya mishalech. Whereas Rabbi Yochanan says it's the sender who is hated. That you should not divorce your wife. That a fellow who divorces his wife is hated. V'lo pligi, and there's no machlokas. Ha bezug rishon or bezug sheni. It depends if it's the first marriage or the second marriage. If it's your first marriage, so then the sender or wearer is hated. If it's the second marriage, then if you despise your wife, then divorce her. Domer Belazar says, Belazar kol hamagayish esishto rishona, that a fellow who divorces his first wife, afilu mizbeach moed olav dmos, then even the altar in the temple sheds tears for on account of that. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'zos shenis taisu, and you do this second terrible thing, kasos dima es mizbach Hashem, and it causes the altar of God to be covered in tears. Bechiva anaka, crying and wailing, me'ein od pnos el amincha v'lokachas rotzum yedchem, that the mizbeach is no longer accepting korbanos menachis and other korbanos. V'amartem, and you say, Alma, what is this for? Al ki Hashem eid beincho vein eishes nurecho, that the Eibishter is testifying between you and the wife of your youth, asher atabagad toba, that you rebelled against her, v'hi chavertecha ve'eishes brisecha, and she is your friend and the wife of your covenant. Hajan olach hamagarish uslikala masechta Gittin. We'll come back to Perek HaMegarish, and we've completed Masechta Gittin. Whoa! All right. Well, that was Masechta Gittin, huh? Friends, what do you think? What do you think about Masechta Gittin? It was good. It was pretty good, right? We use our brains just the right amount, I would say. Good Masechta Gittin. Yeah, talked about Gittin. It was good. Not too long, not too short. Yeah, let me tell you. What do you guys think?